All right, I want to talk about it. Digital versus physical games, like a pros and cons list. I've been really dealing with this a lot lately as I decide whether or not to expand my Steam library or expand my physical library. It's a debate that refuses to die. And here in 2025, it matters more than ever because the next generation of consoles like Nintendo's Switch 2 are quietly changing how we own our games, maybe for good. So today we're going to deep dive into like the 5 biggest pros and cons of each side. And then we're going to end with, I think it's kind of like a moral argument that might surprise you, like why physical ownership isn't just about gaming itself, it's about liberty itself. Liberty. And I think that's really at the heart of all of this. Digital gaming is now, of course, the dominant way that most players buy their games. It's convenient, it's fast, it's frictionless. You can pre-order, preload, start playing at midnight when a game launches without ever leaving your couch. You know, no more going to like GameStop at midnight for like some big release like we all used to do back in the day. On the Switch 2, digital games even run faster. And that's not speculation. Developers have now confirmed that titles installed directly to the console's internal storage load the fastest. The second fastest is games stored on those high-speed SD express cards. And the third place, the slowest, the physical cartridges. It's so sad. That's a major shift. For years, we used to think physical was faster because it didn't depend on hard drive speeds. But now with solid-state storage, digital has flipped that equation. It's also way more flexible. You can hop between multiple games instantly, no swapping cartridges, no clutter, no losing them in the back of an airplane seat. My son, I'm so devastated, he lost his Nintendo Switch on a recent flight, and a couple of the games that he had gotten were in there, like Star Wars Bounty Hunter. He had like a Cobra Kai game in there, gone. At least the save files are in the cloud, so, you know, but nevertheless, those games are gone. Physical cartridges out the window. But if they had just been digital, we wouldn't have this problem, right? And then there's the big sales, right? God, so many great eShop sales, Steam sales. There was just the big autumn sale a few days ago on Steam. You can download a library's worth of titles without filling a single shelf in your house. Like, you know, if your spouse doesn't like any clutter in their house, but you're a gamer, you can still be a gamer and please your spouse because guess what? There's no games on your shelves, right? Nothing taking up all this cluttery space. I have a games room. I love my games room, but my wife refuses to walk in there because she can't stand seeing all of the games. You know, she doesn't like that. She likes like simplicity and all of that. That's fine. I'm one of those people that likes, hey, we're in a physical body for 80 years, 70 years of our, you know, I'm here to enjoy this physical space right now. So I'm going to buy games. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to go out to eat. I'm going to enjoy this life because once we don't have the physical body anymore, I know this is a little esoteric, then fine. Then I'll go back to owning nothing. But right now, while I'm here, I want to have that experience. I want to have a PlayStation Portal, you know, if I want it. I want to have a physical game in my collection, you know, if I want it. So screw you to all you minimalists out there. But anyway, here's the dark side of all of this. And it's a big one, I think. When you buy digital, you don't really own the game. What you're actually buying is a license to play the game. As long as the publisher or the storefront allows you to do that, and however long they allow you to do that. If a company decides to delist a title, shut down its servers, that game can vanish forever. It happened with hundreds of PlayStation Vita games. It's happened on Steam before, where you thought you bought a title and it's gone. We even saw that happening with the close of the 3DS eShop in 2023, taking thousands of titles with it. Yes, you can re-download them if you purchased it, and Nintendo says, for the foreseeable future. What does that mean? They didn't say infinity. Like this is, you bought them on the 3DS store, you can have them forever. They didn't say that. For the foreseeable future. There's no resale value in these digital goods, no trade-ins, no borrowing, lending to a friend. Once it's in your digital library, it's stuck there until a corporation decides otherwise. And let's be honest, we all saw that day when someone logged into their PlayStation account and found their entire digital library gone because of a region change, or there was an account error. Imagine spending thousands on games, waking up to nothing. Sony had that controversy. People bought movies and they decided they're going to pull them back and now they're not available in their library anymore. Again, I had a viewer, I mentioned this on another video, but a viewer who left a comment here said he bought the complete box set of The Office. I think it was the British version of The Office, but they went into his library and like removed a few episodes because of licensing issues. He's like, what? I bought this complete box set. Like, what the hell are you doing here? So that's the downside of trusting the cloud. It's a convenient prison wrapped in a user agreement you probably never read. And by the way, they can go in there and change the games anytime they want to, push an update that you didn't agree to. Now the game has changed. Maybe there's some sort of a political ideology they want to include in the game now or remove from the game. Now let's flip over to the other side of the cartridge here. Physical games. They have a magic that digital will never replicate. That moment when you crack open a case, you see the box art, the manual, if you're lucky enough to get one these days, and you slot it into your console. It's like that nice feeling of ownership. You own something real. You can sell it, you can trade it, you can gift it, you can simply display it in your games room on your shelf if you want to. You know, it's a snapshot of gaming history that can't be deleted by a server shutdown. And let's not forget the collector's aspect of all of this. For many gamers, owning physical copies isn't just about playing games, it's about preserving them. Every cartridge you own is a tiny time capsule. When you boot up an original copy of Super Metroid or Final Fantasy Tactics, you're touching a piece of history that still works decades later. Yes, certain discs can deteriorate, cartridges and RAM flash can deteriorate, of course, but, decades later perhaps. I mean, records, you play records from the early 1900s if they're well kept for, right? Physical games also give you a safety net. Even if this the Switch eShop goes offline someday, your cartridge will still boot up and play just fine. No passwords, no patches, no DRM, no going out to the internet to check and see if you own the game. You can just play it offline, no internet. Of course, there are downsides. Physical games get scratched, lost, stolen. Yes, in 2025, they can be slower, overall slower. That's a technical trade-off here, but there's a simple fix to that, which I hope that Nintendo does. I hope that Nintendo wakes up to this and they could easily implement, which is to let us copy the game from the cartridge to the Switch 2's internal storage, just like the PS5 lets you do. You buy a new disc, you put it into the PS5, it immediately starts copying. Yes, it might take 20 minutes. Yes, it might take 15 minutes. Yes, it might take 40 minutes. Okay, I know it's actually slower to copy it from a disc than it is to download from a server, but nevertheless, now it's like I've got my own server in my hand. And that would give us the best of both worlds, the speed of digital and the ownership of physical. Until then, digital still has the edge in performance, especially on modern hardware where data streaming, SSD speeds make a difference in open world games. Here's where things get really interesting though. When the developers of Star Wars Outlaws released the game on the Switch 2, they made a controversial decision: no full physical cartridge. Yes, we got stuck with one of those stupid game key cards with a small plastic placeholder with you plug it in, it sends it off to a server, it lets you know that you got the game, and it downloads the game onto your SSD. Why did they do that? Were they taking the cheap way out because an actual physical cartridge costs like $16 or $17 for that SD card, that 64 gigabyte cartridge? No, why did they do that? Because as the developers reported, the game was built around load times of like the Xbox Series X and S. So putting it on a cartridge would have meant slower load times and a worse experience on the Switch 2. So they opted instead for a digital install. Now, from a performance standpoint, that decision makes sense. But for many people, it feels like a betrayal. People don't want to pay for a piece of plastic that only points to a download. They want a cartridge that they can actually play and that preserves the game in perpetuity. And here's the bigger problem. Once companies realize they can get away with that, they'll do it more and more. The game keycard becomes a symbol of fake ownership. And these developers are saying, hey, we really think you need to embrace the game keycard. And I'm sorry, no, I'm not going to embrace the game keycard. What I want Nintendo to do is put the full game on the cartridge and allow me to download it to my SSD on my Nintendo Switch 2. And then if I'm done with the game, I delete that off of my hard drive. I don't want a game keycard. And it's a dangerous path, by the way, for preservation and consumer rights. So at the end of the day, this isn't just about video games, it's about ownership itself. Global corporations are moving us toward a future where we don't own anything. Not our games, not our movies, not even our cars or our books. Everything is a subscription. Everything is a license that can be revoked. And when you don't own something, you're not really free to use it in a way that you want. You're just renting your access to culture. And someone else has the keys to this kingdom. And I hate it. I really, really hate it. Owning a physical game is one small act of resistance against that. It means no matter how corporate policies change, you still have something that's yours. That's why many gamers are voting with their wallets in 2025. I mean, heck, Battlefield 6 just came out. The full game is on the disc. Here's a game you're probably going to play online with a lot of people, yet the full game is on the disc. So you just want to do story mode, you've got it. You want to jump online and play with other people, you need servers to do that. But nevertheless, game preservation. So again, people are buying only fully physical cartridges. Again, I know so many people that have a Switch 2. You've let me know in the comments below and you've said, I'm not buying any game key cards. The only games I'm buying for my Switch 2 are physical cartridges. That's it. Yeah, maybe some eShop sales if there's some good ones that they're never going to release a physical, so maybe you'll buy it that way. But for the most part, physical cartridges only. No game key cards, no half downloads. Every Switch 2 game I pre-ordered this year, Rune Factory, Gardens of Azuma, and I bought them. Mortal Kombat Collection, by the way. Yeah, Metroid Prime 4. They're all physical copies. Because if we don't support physical media, it's going to disappear forever. We're very, very close to that. We need to fight this. Ownership is a hallmark of liberty, by the way. And gaming is just the latest front in that fight. So which is better in 2025? Digital or physical? Honestly, it depends on what you value most. If you prioritize speed and convenience and performance, then digital seems to be the clear winner at this point, at least with these Switch 2 cartridges at the moment. But if you believe in true ownership, resale rights, preserving game history for future generations, then physical still matters more than ever. Maybe one day we'll get the best of both worlds, a hybrid system where you can install from a cartridge, keep the ownership that comes with it, and you sell that game if you want to. But until that point, the choice is yours. Digital freedom or physical liberty, and that's a question every gamer has to answer for themselves right now, sadly. So what do you think? Are you an all-digital consumer, or do you still buy physical cartridges and discs? And also, like, we think about like GOG, right? Good old games. When you buy a digital game there, no DRM, you can download it to your PC. You can store it on an external hard drive if you want, and you own that digital game in perpetuity. Valve can't ever take it from you. GOG can't ever take it from you. You own it. And I like the idea, and I think Jimmy Champagne over at his Deck Ready channel a few months ago did a video about, is this the future of Steam digital physical ownership, where people are actually taking their Steam games or their GOG games, and they're putting the files onto an external SD card. And they're even making nice boxes for it, like that look like Switch boxes, which actually is a really cool, it's kind of like having a PC, a PC physical game once again. And I kind of like that. Putting them on a little cartridge with even the picture of the game right there is actually pretty cool. But again, that's all DIY. That's not something you can just go to the store and buy. So guys, let me know in the comments below, where does our community stand on all this physical versus digital in 2025? And if you enjoy these types of videos, please consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll see you next time, everyone.